Good morning. Playlist is posted underneath the live video and in the image I posted yesterday. So if you want to follow along and listen to that, you are certainly welcome to. But as always, feel free to keep it quiet with no music or to put on something else that you like to listen to. Let me turn off my heater. Okay, good morning. Thank you so much for joining me. Welcome. We're going to get going in just another minute or so. We are going to start an easy seat this morning, so just cross-legged. So once you have everything you need ready to go, you can go ahead and find a nice, comfortable, easy seat. If you find this position is hard to stay in for whatever reason, maybe a little bit of pressure on the hips, stick a little block if you have one or a pillow underneath just to lift the hips. That can be a little bit more comfortable and it'll give you a little bit more space really to open the hips. So just another fun trick or option if you have those blocks. And if not, a couch pillow will do, a blanket. Hope everyone is having a good weekend. It's supposed to be, I think, another nice day today. And we're going to get rolling in just a few moments. Make sure you have water. Actually, I'm going to grab my water. Have water, or if you're drinking your coffee or tea close by. If you need any props or blocks or anything, go ahead and grab those. Get your music all set. And we're going to meet in easy seat. Doesn't matter which leg's in front for now. We're going to switch at some point. All right. Start my music quietly here in the background. Get the watch going. All right. Okay, so we are going to start here in easy seat. Your palms can face up or down on the knees. It is believed palms up if you're looking to receive some energy, palms down if you're looking for more grounding, but really whatever is more comfortable for you is exactly how you should sit, maybe even in another variation. So whatever serves you better at this point. Okay, and get tall through your spine, so suck the belly in. And just start to breathe. You can breathe naturally. You don't need to manipulate the breath in any way unless you really need some calming breath. If that's the case, just extend your exhales to be longer than your inhales. And however you're breathing, just bring your attention to your breath. If you want to float the eyes to close, you can. That helps kind of eliminate any outside stimulus and really help bring your focus inward, but that's completely optional. Just about everything I'm going to share with you is optional, so take it or leave it. I'm just your guide this morning. And in this easy seat, just take a few moments to just be here. We live in a society and a culture that is constantly on the go. We're in go mode, right? All the time. We value reward. We reward the hustle. We're always thinking about the next thing, making the next move. For many people, myself included, and I apologize, allergies are brutal. It's hard to find value sometimes in just in the being mode, just being. Some people think it's passive or lazy because it doesn't seem to accomplish much, but I would argue the opposite. The ability to just be is necessary so we can be effective and productive when we shift into go mode. Being mode is just about being fully present in the moment, which is something we preach in yoga, being present, being in your body, which obviously you always physically are, but being aware of it. It's about allowing and honoring what's in your heart and in your mind, about questioning, about curiosity, about slowing down, preparing to navigate the next move, whatever it may be. So taking just a few more moments, a few more breaths here. If you'd like to set an intention for your practice, whether it's for your yoga practice, your day or your week, you can even bring your hands to prayer, or you can leave them where they are. Again, whatever's comfortable for you. And invite that intention into your heart, into your mind. And it's just a goal that you're working on, whatever you're creating energy for. And once you've done that, and at any time you can do that throughout your practice, throughout your day, throughout your week. Okay, you can return your hands to the knees. We're just going to invite some gentle neck circles in. So let's start rotating clockwise. Nice and slow. I like to keep my eyes closed while I do this. I don't want to get dizzy. And really important that you draw the shoulders away from the ears. Good, nice and slow. Neck and shoulder area is a space in the body we hold on to a lot of stress and tension. It's just a nice, gentle way to try to release a little bit of that. Good. Finish whatever circle you're on, coming back center. Once you finish that revolution. Good. Lift the head. Inhale, the arms come out wide. Nice, slow, big stretch overhead. Good. And on the exhale breath, let's take a gentle fold forward. Doesn't matter how far you go, but you're bringing your heart space closer to the earth. Try to keep your head in line with your spine so the neck is nice and straight. You're not craning it up or hunching it down. Good. Gently see if you can just walk the fingertips slightly forward. Keep the knees wide apart from one another. You're really getting a stretch here through the arms and shoulders, a little bit in the lower back, definitely in the outer hip area. Good. And very slowly, let's start to walk the top body in back toward the lower body. We are going to switch the cross of the legs. Let's find a quick boat pose when we do it. So uncrossing the legs, extend them out in front of you. Now your legs can be bent. I'll give you a side view. I'll give you 3 options. Legs can be bent here. They can stay to the floor. They can come bent, or they can even straighten up. It's similar to a hollow hold, but our top body is much more lifted here. Okay, a really great, easy way to activate the core muscles. Whatever variation you're in, let's take 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And as you come out of this, let's cross the opposite leg in front. Trying to be as even as we can with the body. Good. And once you're in and you're settled with the opposite leg in front this time, find wherever you'd like to put your palms. And we're going to take those same neck circles. Now this time going counterclockwise. So drop the chin and we'll start left ear to left shoulder. Again, close the eyes if that feels better for you. Good, nice slow circles. Drawing the shoulders down away from the ears. Maybe getting some pops and cracks, maybe just feeling a nice stretch in all directions, maybe one direction more than others. You can hold it there a little bit longer if you'd like. Good. Let's take one more full circle. And once you've completed that, meeting back center. Good, nice and tall through the spine. Once more, nice and wide and slow. Inhale, the arms come straight up overhead. Exhale, breath guides you down and forward. Nice gentle fold here. Doing this with the opposite leg crossed in front will just change the way that the hips feel this slightly. Good. Don't hold your breath while you're here. See if you can walk the fingertips just a tiny bit forward more. Good. Take one more full breath. Very slowly and with control, we start to lift the top body. And let's straighten out the legs. If you need to scoot back on your mat a little bit, you can, so we can keep our legs on the mat. Just extend them straight forward. This is our staff pose. Good. Let's take a nice gentle fold from here too, just to get into the hamstrings. So let's inhale, arms overhead once more. On the exhale, gentle fold forward. Now this fold is a little bit different with straight legs, because you're going to get more of a stretch in the hamstrings. It's okay to have a little micro bend in the legs. It's really early in our practice. Just want to not neglect the back of the body here. Good. We'll get more into the hamstrings while we're standing. Let's gently start to bring this back up. Good, and we're going to get into a figure 4. Nice and early, but we're going to try to open those hips some more. Let's plant the sole. Actually, start with planting the soles of both feet. We're going to cross that right ankle on top of that left knee. You can plant your hands behind you, and then you can draw that left leg closer to the body. So the closer you bring this left heel, it'll force that right leg in closer to the body, which will intensify this right hip stretch. But flex your right foot. Try to push, not literally, but try to guide that right knee forward and to the side. If you think about it, this right leg is in the same position it would be as if we were in pigeon. We're just in a different variation here. Good. Now you can stay right here. You can even take a gentle twist by dropping the legs over to the right. I'm sorry, over to the left. You can even take that left hand to the right knee, gaze off the right shoulder. Get a little twist while you're here. If that doesn't feel good, you could stay where you were previously. Good, let's come out of this. Uncross the legs, shake them out for a moment if you need to. We're going to get right into that second side. So again, you can start with both feet planted. This time we'll cross left ankle on top of right knee. Make sure that right sole of the foot is planted. Doesn't matter how far or close it is to your body, the farther away. A little bit of a lighter stretch, which is perfectly normal this point in the morning, this point in your practice. But if you draw that right foot closer to the body, you'll feel more of a hip stretch right here on the left side. Good, flex that left foot. Again, try to open that left knee to the side and forward. And if you took that gentle twisted variation, you can. You can start to drop the sole of the left foot over to the right. You can stay here. If you want to get a little bit deeper, you can bring that right hand to the outer part of the left knee, gazing off the left shoulder. Always lots of options and variations in our yoga practice. So important that you listen to your body. Try things, see how they feel. If they don't serve you, there should be another option right there for you. Okay, let's take our final breath here. Good, let's gently release out of this, uncross the legs. Straighten them out, shake them out if you need to. We're just going to come over the legs, coming onto the hands and knees into our tabletop pose. Good, so in tabletop, we're on all fours. Wrists are in a straight line down from the shoulders. Knees are in a straight line down from the hips. Knees are just about 2 fist width distance apart. Good, suck in the belly, nice neutral spine to begin. So that means all the way from the head to really the tailbone, the sits bones is a nice straight line. And then we're going to move through some cat-cows like we usually do from this position. Get some movement into that spine. So on your next inhale breath, I want you to drop your belly, lift the hips, lift your gaze. Good, maybe even tuck the toes, see how that feels. And as you exhale, untuck the toes, press through those palms as you round your spine high to the sky and the gaze comes inward. Good, inhale, drop the belly, lift the gaze, tuck the toes. This is our cow pose. Exhale, press through those palms so you can really round that spine high to the sky. Gaze comes inward, untuck the toes. Good, let's meet back in that neutral spine. Really think about linking your breaths and your movement as you move through your practice like we do in our cat-cows. Okay, your next inhale breath, right arm lifts up high to the sky. Gaze will follow. As you exhale, we're going to thread the needle right hand between the left hand and left knee. So we're coming onto that right shoulder, onto the right cheek. That right palm's facing up. Good, now you can stay here. Don't be afraid. As long as you don't have shoulder issues, you can put a little bit of weight on that right shoulder. I'm going to offer you a few advancements. As always, try them. If you don't like them, come back to where we were. But you can walk your left hand to the top left corner of your mat. Get a nice little opening stretch there. And if you'd like to invite a little bit of balance, just for a couple of breaths, you can even lift that left leg just hip height. To help with this balance, flex the left toes. And make sure your left hip flexors face in the ground. If you start to open and stack hips here, you might fall over to the right. Good, and wherever you are, take a nice deep inhale and exhale. If you're balanced, bringing the left knee back to the earth, walking the left fingertips, pressing the palm underneath the left shoulder so you can press through the hand, peel that right arm up high to the sky. But if you want to take a couple quick don't do it quick, but slow circles, quickly moving through this. With that right arm, you can. And we're going to keep this right arm up because we're kind of coming to a modified side plank. So just turning the left toes out to the side, kind of like a kickstand. Left palm plants center, stacking shoulders and hips, right toes toward the back. I'm going to turn if you need a visual here in our modified side plank. Good. See how my right shoulder's on top of my left, right hip on top of left, everything's stacked. Good. Now you can stay here if you'd like to lift those right toes again. You have that option, maybe dropping the right bicep over the right ear. Good. Nice big stretch from the right fingertips to the toes. And I'm going to give you one more option here if you'd like to try it. You can come into Chopasana, which is basically a quad stretch. So you can bend the right leg, reaching for the outer part of the right foot with the right hand, and just drawing the heel closer to the sits bones. Not only do you get a nice quad stretch so that those muscles in the front of your thigh, but you also get a nice deep shoulder stretch and opener here, especially if you kick away a little bit, so pressing the foot into the palm, you'll really feel it through the shoulder and the upper back. Good. Let's gently release that and come back to our tabletop. And we're going to move right into our second side. So as you inhale, this time left arm reaches up high to the sky, gaze follows. Exhale, breath guides you down. So onto the left shoulder, left cheek, that left hand comes between your right hand and your right knee. Good. So starting here slowly, again, a little bit of gentle pressure on that left shoulder. Sits bones nice and high away from the heels. You can take that option where you walk the right hand to the top right corner of the mat. And if you took it on the first side, in an attempt to stay balanced, you can extend that right leg hip height. Hip flexor facing down, right toes flexed. So foot is flexed, toes facing down. Good. And don't hold your breath wherever you are. Let's take one more full breath. And then you can return that right knee back to the earth. Walk the right hand back in underneath the shoulder so you can press through that palm. As you do, left arm lifts up high to the sky. If you took some of those circles on the first side, you certainly can here on the second. I always feel like it looks like you're doing like a big, cool electric guitar move, right? Good. And then wherever you are, that left arm's going to stay up. The right toes are going to come out to the side. Right hand plants center. Left toes step behind you, stacking shoulders, stacking hips for our modified side plank. Again, as always, you have options. You can lift the toes. You can drop the left bicep to frame out the ear. I'm going to turn once more just so you can see this if anyone needs a visual. And in an attempt to stay even and symmetrical as much as we can, if you took Chopasana, that quad stretch on the first side, bend the left leg, reach the left hand around for the outer edge of the foot. So you're balancing on your right foot, right knee, right hand. And you're getting a nice quad stretch here in the left thigh. Again, you can vary it slightly. If you want to bring the heel closer into the body, you'll feel it more in the front of the leg. If you want to really press that foot into the hand, you'll still feel it in the quad. I know I do, but you'll also feel it a little bit more in that shoulder and chest area. So think about what your body needs today. Sometimes these micro adjustments, a couple, sometimes centimeters, can make a big difference in how we experience a pose. Good, let's gently, don't snap anything back, just gently release out of this. Come back to our tabletop. Hopefully we're starting to feel a little warmer so we can start picking up our pace and moving a little bit more here. So let's tuck our toes. I don't know if you saw naturally, I always, as soon as I tuck my toes, draw my glutes back toward my heels for just a second. So it gives a really nice stretch along the bottom of the foot, in your arches, in your Achilles maybe. I feel that. Good. But eventually our goal is to make our way to downward facing dog. So we're going to do that by making sure our fingers are nice and spread. And we're going to slowly, after the toes are tucked, start to lift the hips as we lower the heels. Okay, making this big upside down V. Making sure your head is in a line with your spine. Think about lifting your hips as you lower your heels closer to the earth. It's okay if they're not there. They might get there eventually, they might not. Good, maybe you walk your dog by pedaling out the feet, getting a nice little calf stretch here. Again, more ankle mobility. And it's nice that we get to mix it up with our yoga practice and do something without sneakers on. It's a totally different feel than being in the gym. And there's pros and cons to both for sure, but with these types of movements, it's nice to get some nice stretches in the feet, in the ankles, and our toes even. Good. So if you're doing anything that you need to even out, go ahead and do that. And then we're going to take a nice slow walk. So keeping your hands where they are, take a nice slow walk, one step at a time, toward the top of your mat. Good. You're in a forward fold. Letting the top body really hang heavy here. Let gravity do the work. Think about lifting the hips as you ground the feet in. Elongating through the back of the legs. Good. Head hangs heavy. Good. To create a little space on your next inhale breath, let's take that halfway lift. So coming to a flat back, palms come to the shins. Exhale, breath, fold. See if you can create a little space and fold a little bit deeper. Good. It's okay here not to lock out the knees. It's okay to have that little bend here. It's always okay. If you can even take a deep bend and hang, see how that feels. It's always nice to mix it up and have options. Maybe sway a little bit here. Good. And then let's take a slow rise, one vertebrae at a time. Head will be the last thing to lift to stand. You can keep the hands down by your sides. I'm just going to back up a little bit so you can see me. Good. Let's take our hands and interlace them behind our head like like a traditional kind of crunch position. But I really want you to draw the elbows open, suck in that belly. Feel a nice stretch through the pectorals, through the chest muscles, in the upper back. Good. Let's take a nice little side body stretch here too. Keeping the hand grip, let's tilt it over to the right. So as you tilt it over to the right, gaze is off that left elbow, and you're really driving that left foot into the earth. Good. You feel this through the obliques, through your intercostal muscles, maybe even a little bit in the outer hip. Good. Don't hold your breath. Actually, let's use our breath to guide us. So let's take a nice deep inhale as we rise. And on the exhale, we'll tilt it over to the left. Again, gaze off that right elbow. Ground that right foot into the mat. Don't hold your breath. Good. Coming back center. Use the core to get you there. Really open one more time. Maybe even a gentle back bend as you guide your hips forward. Good. And on our next exhale breath, let's try to keep the hands here for just a moment. We're going to fold back down over straight legs. Good. I'm going to even draw my arms in closer to my ears to help guide my top body closer to my legs. But you are welcome to release this variation at any point. We're all going to release it eventually. Good. I actually want you, if you haven't done so already, release the hand grip. I want you to heel toe your feet to the outer edge of your mat. We're still in a forward fold, but we're in this wide-legged variation. Maybe even reach for opposite elbows and sway a little bit. This is what we call ragdoll. Maybe even bend one knee at a time. Just see what feels good for you. See how your body wants to just kind of move organically. Don't worry about what it looks like. No one's watching you. Just kind of tap into how everything feels. So you guys are probably toward the top of your mat. I'm going to meet you there. And wherever you are, whatever hand variation you have, let's release it. Bring the palms back to the mat. And we're going to step back one leg at a time, just to our downward facing dog. Good. Take any movements you need to here, and we're going to start moving through our standing sequences, getting into some bigger postures. Hopefully the body is ready for it. We're going to start by finding a three-legged dog. So right leg is going to lift. I know I say this every week. It doesn't matter how high it comes. Maybe you keep the toes connected. Maybe it's hip height. Maybe you have a little bit of a higher range of motion here. Good. Make sure that head is still down. No wrinkles in the back of the neck. And let's bend the knee here. Stack hips for a moment. Maybe move that leg around a little bit. Stacking the right hip over the left. You'll feel a nice little hip flexor stretch. Good. Squaring off the hips. We're going to bring the knee in toward the nose with that angry cat back, high on the left toes. And then we're going to step that right foot between the hands, finding a low lunge. Okay, in low lunge, the right foot's fully connected, high on the left toes. You can keep your peace fingers down, and you can come, just show you a visual, to blocks. Really great for alignment. And you want to keep your shoulders and hips square to the front. I always like to have my blocks close by. Good, nice deep bend in that right leg. See if you can get that 90-degree angle. You can even hover here, really engage the inner thighs and core to help with this. Good. Now we're going to take a small transition. It's helpful sometimes to bring the hands down. Let's plant the left foot. We're going to step it up a little bit and plant it on a 45-degree angle so my toes are facing the top left corner of my mat. Good, and slowly, like parallel train tracks, my arms are going to come overhead for warrior one. Shoulders away from the ears, pinky spiral in. See if you can get that bend in that right leg. Good. Let's take one full breath here in the strong warrior pose. Take a nice deep inhale. Good. Exhale. Good. Inhale one more time. And on the exhale, we're going to slice it open for warrior two. So left toes facing the left wall now. Heel to heel alignment. Right arm extended in front, left arm behind. Gazing off that right middle finger. Nice deep bend in that right leg. You might feel the burn a little bit. I know I do. That's okay. It's working, right? Get a nice stretch here and a nice strength pose all in one. Good. Keeping the legs as they are. Let's bring that right forearm to the top of the right leg. Left arm extends overhead. Use this right forearm to very gently open this hip here. You're nudging the knee slightly. You don't want it all the way open, but you certainly don't want to track inward here. Shoulders stacked. Gaze can be up at that left hand or down toward the right foot, whatever feels better for you. Good. We have a straight-legged pose coming up next, so let's get one more breath of this nice deep bend. Good, then let's start to straighten that right leg. Let's come back to warrior two arms. Bump up the back foot a little bit if you need to. And we're going to take it back for peaceful triangle. So left hand comes down the left leg. Right bicep frames out the right ear. Good, gently walk the left fingertips down the leg. And again, this time our long line of energy is from our right fingertips all the way to the right toes, getting another nice side body stretch here. And then let's use our breath to guide those hands back down to frame out the right foot. Bump that left foot up so it's, again, on that 45. Square your hips, which means they're facing forward. So you're going to plug that right hip back, roll that left hip forward. And exhale, breath brings you down to fold over that right leg in our pyramid pose. Again, another great place for blocks. Blocks just bring the earth a little bit closer to you so you don't compromise your alignment. Let's take a nice inhale for a halfway lift. If your hips aren't really square, square them off. Exhale, breath guides you back down into your fold. Now, you can stay right here. If you want to take a little twist, that left hand's going to plant inside of the right foot or to a block. And you'll guide that right hand up so you're now twisted through the core, stacking right shoulder on top of left. Try it. See how it feels. If you don't love it, you can come out of it. Good. Wherever you are, let's take another full breath. Take a nice deep inhale. Exhale. If you're twisted, let's bring that right hand back down to the earth. Good. So hands framing out the right foot. We're going to step back to our plank pose. Now this is our first time here, so I'm going to give you your options. You can hold this plank for a couple of breaths. If you're looking really for some strength or that calorie burn, throw in some push-ups. If you don't want to hold this, come back to down dog. Your final option, which I'm going to take, is to go through what we call a flow, a vinyasa flow in yoga. So I'll guide you through this. Take a nice inhale to prepare. Exhale, you lower halfway through a push-up, arms nice and close to the body. Good. Inhale. Find upward facing dog or high or low cobra, back bend of choice. This is high cobra. My toes are untucked. My thighs and hip flexors are connected. Nice stretch to the front of the body here. Especially we did a good amount of ab work this week. I feel this. Good. Whatever you chose, we're going to meet back in downward facing dog. Because we're going to move through the same series of poses on our second side. If you guys need a break at any point or you need to grab a sip of water, whether I cue it or not, absolutely go for it. Let's take our left leg off the mat. Again, doesn't matter how high it comes for three-legged dog. Let's bend the knee, stack hips, maybe move that leg around a little bit. Good. Squaring off, high on the right toes, left knee comes in toward the nose, and then it steps between the hands for our low lunge. So important we check our alignment and build our base here. So high on the right toes, left foot's fully connected. Hips and shoulders square. Again, come to blocks, come to peace fingers, or you can hover. Whatever feels best for you today. Good, nice deep bend in that left leg. The goal is that 90-degree angle. Good. Now we're going to transition. So if you did so on the first side, helpful sometimes to bring the hands down as you bump the right foot up a little bit and point your toes toward the top right corner of your mat. And slowly we lift both hands to our warrior one. Adjust as needed. Pinkies are spiraled forward. Shoulders are not, up in our ears. You want them nice and drawn down. Good. Check your alignment if you need to. I know I tend to open here. My hips are tight. Good. Let's take one more full breath. Take a nice deep inhale. Good. Exhale. Inhale. And on our next exhale, we're going to slice it open to warrior two. Good. Nice deep bend in this left leg. Right toes facing the sidewall. Gazing off that left middle finger. See if you can get a little bit deeper here. Make sure the top body's not leaning forward or back. We're nice and centered. Okay. And then we're going to bring that left forearm to the top of the left leg. Use it to nudge that knee slightly open as that right arm peels up high to the sky, stacking shoulders. Gaze can be up at that right hand. If that doesn't feel good for your neck, you can always bring it down toward the left foot. Good, don't lose the bend in the knee. We're here for one more full breath. We have a straight leg pose coming up next. Good, so let's straighten that left leg. Bring the arms back to warrior two arms. Bump the legs if you need to. And we're going to bring that right hand down the right leg. Left bicep frames out the ear. As we tilt it toward the back. Right fingertips walking down the right leg. This is our peaceful triangle. Good. See if you can get a little bit deeper for your last breath here. Good. Let's cartwheel the arms back down to frame out the left foot as the right foot bumps up a little bit on that 45. Okay, this is our pyramid pose. We're going to gently fold over the left leg, letting the head hang heavy. Good. On our next in-out breath, let's lift halfway. From here, I like to do this sometimes, manually. Square off the hips so you're plugging that left hip back, rolling the right hip forward, and next exhale breath guides you back down into your fold. And now you have the option to stay here. You have the option to come to blocks. If you took that revolved variation, your right hand's going to plant inside of the right foot or to a block. And then left arm's going to peel up high overhead, stacking shoulders. Good. Twisting from the core. Make sure when you're twisted, you're not holding your breath. More important to breathe here. May feel a little bit harder, but we still have to do it. Good. Wherever you are, let's have the hands frame out that left foot. Good. We're going to step back to plank pose. You know your options to hold this plank, go to down dog, throw in some push-ups, or move through your flow, lowering halfway. Good, finding your back bend of choice, nice and slowly and controlled. Back to downward facing dog. Good, we have one more short standing sequence. We're going to get into a little bit of balance, a couple bigger stretches. If you need to take a sip of water, go for it. We're in downward facing dog, and you can either take that nice slow walk again, or if you want to take a nice hop to the top of the mat, we're going to meet in our forward fold. Good. See how it feels now compared to the first one. Hopefully it's feeling a little bit more open, a little more accessible, maybe it's a little more comfortable. Good, and from here we're going to take that slow rise to stand once more. Good, I'm going to back up so you can see me. My head gets cut off on this iPad. Good, let's bring the weight into your right foot. And we're going to bring the left knee into the chest. Whenever we balance, I like to start with my hands at prayer heart center just because you're pressing at the midline. Okay, and find a drishti, something in your space that you can look at that's small, that's not moving. Good, so you're going to draw that left knee into the chest. Find your balance. And then we're going to come into a half chair. So you're going to cross that left ankle on top of the right knee. Open that left knee. I kind of get myself there manually first. Good. And then see if you can settle in a little bit here. So flexing the left foot, opening that left knee, staring hard at your drishti. If you lose your balance, it happens to everybody. You just get right back in, right? See if you get a little bit lower. Good. Same type of hip opener as we did in our very first warm-up sequence. Except this time we throw in the balance, which just changes everything, doesn't it? All right, good. Let's slowly come out of this. So left knee's going to come up into the chest. And we're going to tilt forward as we press that left leg back hip height to find our warrior three. Now you can always take this modified very simply by dropping the peace fingers where the hands. So whichever variation you like. Let's take 2 more breaths. Inhale. Exhale. Good. One more. Take your final breath in. Exhale. If you're balanced, bring the hands back to the mat and step that left leg back to our low lunge. I want you to heel toe your right foot to the outer edge of the mat so the hands are inside of that right foot. We're in our lizard lunge. Good, so we're high on the left toes, right foot's completely connected, hands and right foot in a line. Take a couple gentle rocks back and forth off the left toes. Now you have the option to stay lifted. If you want to lower, get a little bit deeper into this stretch, you can untuck the left toes, drop the left knee. From here, as always, you have lots of options. You can stay here if it's available and see. Maybe you can come to the forearms. I like to bring my left forearm down, which is for me much easier. The right one gets there. It's a little bit more of a challenge. And I really like to put my right hand on the inner edge of that right knee just to gently open that hip. You might be able to see I'm rolling to the outer edge of my right foot here. Lots of hip work today. It's good. Hips are important. You know, the hips kind of drive and start all of our movements. Good if you bike, if you run. Always good to get those hip stretches in. We're going to take a couple more breaths here, whatever variation you're in. Good. And as always, make sure you are breathing through these poses. You need to oxygenate those muscles. You need to try to relax so your body will kind of fight the resistance of, you know, getting to the point of the stretch where you kind of reached your limit and just settle in. The breath is the most important tool to help you get there. All right, let's take our final breath here. Slowly we'll come out of this. So if you're on any forearms, coming back to the palms, coming back to the sole of the right foot, tucking the left toes. We're going to step back to our plank pose. As always, you know your options. Let's flow or let's hold it. Let's just come right back to down dog. If you're feeling energized, throw in a push-up or two. We'll meet back in downward facing dog. This will be our final standing sequence to get through the second side of these poses, so we're nice and even. So again, however you want to get there, if you want to take that walk or you want to float or fly to the top of the mat, we'll meet in that forward fold. And then we'll take that nice slow rise, one vertebrae at a time, to stand. I would like to back up just so you guys can see me. So let's bring our weight into the left foot this time. Good. Hands to prayer. If that helps, find your dristi. Again, something really small that's not moving. I do this a lot in the gym with different exercises. I'll talk about that more once we get into this pose. So bringing the right knee into the chest. Good. Find your balance. And cross that right ankle over the left knee. And see if you can bend that left leg and settle in. Really open that right knee. Bend the left leg. Good, it's our half chair. As I was saying before, a lot of times with some of our exercises at the gym that require any balance. If you're in a side plank, a single leg RDL, I always find like a speck on the floor, something I could stare at, which really, really helps with my balance. So maybe something to keep in mind next time you are struggling with that balance, whatever you're doing. Breath and the dristi. Good. Let's take our final breath here. Slowly and with control, try to keep that balance. Right knee into the chest, straighten out the left leg. And we're going to find our warrior three by tilting the top body forward, extending the right leg, hip height behind you. Good. Knowing you can drop the hands at any point to peace fingers to blocks to the earth to take the modified warrior three. If you feel as though your form is being compromised, take the balance out of it. Let's take one more breath. If you are balanced, let's bring the hands down to frame out the left foot. Good, and then we step the right toes to the back to find that low lunge. Heel toe the left foot to the outer edge of your mat. Palms plant, so left foot and both palms in a straight line. Feel free to adjust if you need to move the left foot forward, the right toes back. This is a really big stretch here. Right hip flexor stretch, outer edge of left hip stretch. Good, take those rocks back and forth off the toes. And you know you have the option to stay lifted here. If you lowered on the first side, you can drop the right knee, untuck the toes. Good, you stay right here. This will get you a little bit more into that hip flexor. Another area. So many of them, we tend to hold on to stress and tightness and tension. If you took a different variation where you came to the forearms, feel free to do that. Again, left hand for me to the inner edge of the left knee. That might not feel good for you. This is kind of my go-to in lizard. Rolling slightly to the outer edge of the left foot. Wherever you are, just breathe. Good. Allow your body to settle into this pose. We're only here for a few more breaths, and we're really going to start to bring things down. It's our last big stretch. Got some nice ones on the ground coming up. Let's take another 2 full breaths here, whatever variation of lizard you are currently in, and we'll slowly come out of it together. Good. So if your hands are not planted, let's bring them back to the earth. Just plant the left foot, tuck the right toes, lift the knees, so we're back into our lizard lunge where we started this pose. We're going to step the left leg back to meet the right, and if you choose to take it moving through your final flow, I'll guide you through it for the last time. Take a nice inhale to prepare. Exhale guides you halfway down. Good. Inhale, find your back bend of choice. I like this high cobra. We do this a lot at the gym. The wider your feet are, the less intensely you'll feel this on your back. Got it. And let's meet back in downward facing dog. Let's make our way to the ground in a fun way. So feel free to try this with me. Let's come to the forearms. This is our dolphin pose. So it's like a down dog with the legs and the hips, but we're now on our forearms. Good. And then let's start to walk the feet back. So we find ourselves in this forearm plank. Don't worry, we're not here long. Just a couple of breaths. Really engage the core. For 5, 4, 3, 2, and at 1 you can lower the hips, untuck the toes. Good. Legs are straight together, toes are untucked. This is our Sphinx pose. Arms are still down in number 11. Forearms are connected. Good. Nice and tall through the chest. Feel a nice gentle back bend here. If you want to take this a little bit deeper, try and see how it feels. Keeping pretty much everything the same except for the arms. Press the palms and straighten the arms. Lift the elbows off the earth. See how that feels. If it doesn't feel good, come out of it. If it feels okay, take a breath or two. It's our seal pose. Good. And then we're going to lower back to our Sphinx. We're going to get into the hips a little bit more, but from a different angle. We're going to find half frog. If you're with me a lot, you know this is one of my favorites. So we're going to start by bending that right leg. So right knee is in a straight line out from the hip. Right ankle's in a straight line down from the knee. Toes are facing the side. Really think about getting that hip flexor connected to the earth if it's not. Left leg's just extended long behind me. Toes are untucked. Now you can stay here in the Sphinx. If you want to straighten the arms and find that seal again to see how it feels with this back bend and this hip opener, you certainly can. I'm going to take that for a breath or two. But eventually, if you've ever been in half frog, the best part of it is when you get to lower all the way down, bringing your arms to 90-degree angles. So those cactus arms, football goal post with the left cheek to the mat. And I'll show you what that looks like because this is the best part. Good. Left cheek to the mat. Arms at 90 degrees bent. Lots of 90-degree angles here in our half frog pose. And close your eyes. And settle in here for a couple of breaths. Good. Kind of taking an inventory of how your body feels. Trying to find stillness if you can. So it's really important we make those micro adjustments to get comfortable. So once we're here, we can just kind of settle in for a few breaths. Good. Again, think about keeping that hip flexor as close to the earth as you can. As much as we're chilling here, we're relaxing, I'm really thinking about driving that hip flexor. And I feel a nice little stretch in my inner thigh and in the hip. Really nice restorative, calming stretch, especially when you're on your belly. Let's take one more full breath. Good. Let's slowly straighten that right leg to meet the left. Let's come back to Sphinx. We'll start here again. Good. If you really like that back bend, you can certainly straighten up for seal again, but we'll do that once we get into our second side too. Good. So once you're back in your Sphinx pose, we're going to bend that left leg. Good. Left knee, look, you can actually look and make any adjustments you need to, is in a straight line from the hip, ankles in a straight line down from the knee, left toes facing the side. Really drawing that inner thigh, groin area, hip flexor into the earth. Right leg's extended long behind me, toes are untucked. Now, if you know you just want to drop right into this and come to the cheek and settle in, you certainly can. If you want to stay in Sphinx a few more breaths, you absolutely can. If you want to see, if you did it on the first side, you should really try it on the second side, unless you had a reason not to. To straighten the arms and come into your combo seal arms with the half frog. We got some hybrid animals going on, right? Good. And then knowing you can lower out of this at any point, come back to Sphinx, or you can find the right cheek against the mat and arms into cactus, closing the eyes, settling in here. Taking a few calming, relaxing breaths in this pose.
Good. Really trying to keep your focus on your breath and on your body. We're obviously winding down our practice today, but I promise whatever awaits you for the rest of the day or the week ahead will be there, in another 5 minutes or so. So really try to keep your focus on your body. If you find that hard, just think about your breath. You're breathing in, you're breathing out. Maybe at this point, if you didn't so earlier, thinking about an intention or coming back to the intention you set for yourself, about 40 minutes ago. Taking a final few breaths here. And then very slowly, we've hopefully created a little bit of calm. We don't want to disrupt that. Let's bring the left leg back to meet the right.
Good. And we're just going to roll over onto your back. So keeping your head at the top of the mat, feet at the bottom. Just roll over onto your back. I'm just going to come to the side if anyone needs a visual. Got my... Okay. So lying down on our backs. Good. And let's hug the knees into the chest. We didn't start on our backs this morning. It's our first time here. So let's hug those knees into the chest here. Give them a nice little squeeze. Good. And let's kind of wrap up our class today with a nice spinal twist. So let's drop both knees over to the right. Left arm extends out to the side if you have the space. Right hand can go to the outer edge of that left knee just to guide you a little bit deeper into this twist as you gaze off the left arm. Even if the eyes are closed, which I highly recommend, gazing in that direction, just that little gentle tilt of the neck and of the gaze can really get a little deeper into this twist here. Good. Don't hold your breath. Try to twist a little bit deeper from the core each time you exhale. Take one more full breath. Good. Release the hand grip. Right arm extends out to the side. Using the core to bring the knees through center. Dropping them over to the left this time. So left hand can release to reach for the outer edge of the right knee. Gaze is off that right arm. Good. Settling in for a few breaths here. You might feel a little tightness in the lower back. This should help release a little bit of that. A lot of that tightness in our low back comes from our tight hamstrings. So we got those pretty good today too. Good. Taking your final breath here. Releasing the hand grip, bringing the knees back to center. Let's give them a final squeeze here. Maybe even bring the shoulders off the mat, curling up into a little ball. Good. And let's release everything out long. Coming into our final resting pose. And I want to give you another option. I know Shavasana is really challenging, and I know the more you do it, the more you practice it, the easier it gets, and I don't want to take that away. But I saw another variation recently that I want to share with you, and the teacher called it more of a mindful moment, not a full Shavasana. So if you want to try this, you can bring bend into the legs, soles of the feet to the earth. And then often, like we do at the beginning of practice, one hand to the heart, one hand to the belly, just connecting with your breath. Good. Feeling the heartbeat. Feeling the rise and fall of the chest and of the belly as you inhale and exhale. Good. Taking just a couple breaths here can kind of help slow things down and calm things down. And then you have the option if you want to stay here, or after a couple of breaths, if you want to release into your full Shavasana. I am going to go because it took me years, but I've learned to appreciate the benefits of this pose. If you're listening along with my playlist, you can go right to the last song, Miss Claire Remembers. It's less than 2 minutes long. You can turn off your music, switch it, whatever you need to do, so we can find a little bit of calm and quiet for the last few moments together today. So take a nice deep inhale and exhale just to help settle in here. And then try to find a variation of whatever pose you're in that's so comfortable that you can try to find some stillness. You're not going to be fidgeting too much. If you find yourself fidgeting, maybe you need to move. Maybe you need to find a different variation. And just try to take a scan of how you feel. If you notice any areas of tightness or tension, trying to soften them. Breathe through it. taking probably at this point less than another minute out of your entire day to just be, like I talked about in the opening, to just be. You're not doing nothing, you're doing something. How often do you get to just be? I don't know about you guys. If you're lucky, maybe you do a lot. It's very, very rare in my busy life, and I know many of yours, to just be. So enjoy this moment. Don't feel guilty about it. You are serving yourself positively here. Reaping the benefits of your yoga practice, preparing yourself for your day and week ahead. Taking just a few more slow, full breaths. And then starting to invite some gentle movements into your body. Don't just come to a sit. We want to invite movement back in without disturbing the piece that we just created. So maybe wiggle the fingers and toes to start. Maybe rolling out the wrists and ankles. I like to gently just rock my head side to side sometimes. Feels good. Let's take a nice full body stretch. Bring the legs together to touch if they're not. Point the toes. Extend the arms overhead. If you don't have space, you can reach for opposite elbows. Suck that belly in. Don't hold the breath. Good. Nice full body stretch. Kind of like we're reawakening now for the second time today. And then hugging the knees into the chest, giving yourself a nice little squeeze. And then rolling over on to your right side, finding fetal pose. And using your left hand for some support, just gently guide yourself back up into a seated position. Back where we started, really coming full circle today. Palms can face up or down or at prayer heart center again, whatever resonates with you. I just want to thank you all for joining me this morning or whenever it is that you're hopping on this video throughout the week. Let's close class with a nice collective breath. Everyone take a nice deep inhale. Fill all the way up. Let it go. Thank you again. It's always my pleasure being your guide. The light in me honors the light in you. Namaste. Thank you guys so much. I hope everyone is feeling good. And enjoy your day. Have a great week. I will see you soon.